Thank you for joining me. My name is Andrew Keeping and I'm a classical guitarist, and frequently I have requests to put on videos to give some tutorials on a particular aspect of guitar playing. Today I've had a request to talk about right hand patterns. Following one of my previous videos on improvisation, some people contacted me saying, what sort of options do we have with the right hand to make a more interesting arrangement around chords? Now, one of the great things about the classical guitar is the sound of a finger picking instrument. Now, this guitar is a nylon string guitar, classical guitar, or Spanish guitar it's referred to as well, but it can equally be applied to acoustic guitars and electric guitars. It's a technique, a finger picking technique that crosses all genres, and it's about having the dexterity and giving each finger its own identity, and that's where the great guitarists are able to adapt so smoothly. So we're looking at just the flexibility in the right hand. Now this, basically, let's start at the beginning. My right hand. Our thumb we refer to as P, pulgar, the Latin for thumb. Index is the I finger. The middle finger, MIDI, middle finger, and our annular finger. We don't use our little finger, although in many flamenco techniques they do use the little finger. We tend not to. So we're using P, I, M, A. And the basic rule that we're going to start with is that our index finger is only going to be playing on the third string for the time being. The middle finger is only going to be playing on our second string. And the annular finger only plays on the first string. In the meantime, our thumb will play the root note of the chord. That is the named note of the chord. So for example, if I'm playing an A minor chord, I'll be playing A with the thumb on the fifth string. So check your chord shapes out and play the root note of the chord, the bass note of the chord. Okay, now I'm not going to use my left hand at all during this whole tutorial because the right hand is what we're focusing on. If we're looking at the basic structure, let's just show a pattern that we would use on the right hand. Now, I tend to say that this is much easier when we keep the wrist nice and high. When I say high, I mean high off the table of the guitar. I tend to suggest, imagine having a small pencil poking up out of the table of the guitar that keeps your hand from falling down onto it. You don't want the hand flat on the guitar, you want it reasonably high so your fingers are pretty straight. That way they're able to play across the string up into the hand at an angle of just over 45 degrees. Just use the very tips of the fingers, keeping the fingers straight. The problem is if you get under the string with a flat hand, you play up and you get this technique of slap back of the strings on the frets. It doesn't sound pretty. It doesn't help the fluidity of the movement of the right hand either. So we're looking at nice, smooth action across the strings. Now at the moment, as you can see, I'm using P, I, M and A on the strings. And my thumb is on the sixth string. So let's start with a warm-up exercise going P, I, M, A, M, I. Just so that we're going up and down. When that's fluent, I tend to use a method that I've always used called my 5 times consecutive rule. That means you have to be able to play it 5 times consecutively perfect before you can move on to the next discipline or the next technique, or if I'm working through a piece of music and I have a problem with a particular bar, 5 times consecutively perfect, then I can move on from that bar. Get to 4 times and you make a slip, you've got to start it all back again at the beginning. So that's 5 times, that's plenty. Then I'm going to try moving my thumb down. So each time we move the thumb down to from the 6th to the 5th to the 4th to the 5th to the 6th. Let's try that. 5th, 4th, 5th, back to the 6th. Now so far we've done, that sounds rather nice, we've done 3 beats in a bar. That's 1 and 2 and 3 and. Could also be counted as 6/8 time, because we've got, in both of them, we've got 6 quaver beats. The 6/8 time would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, where we accent on the first and we accent on the 4th note of the scale of the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gives 6/8 time, gives it a bit of a lilt. Whereas 3/4 time are 3 groups of 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and. I think you get the message. We're going to move on to 4 beats in a bar. 4 beats in a bar is probably the most common pattern that you're going to find. So we need to add an extra beat to our pattern, and we're going to use P-I at the end of the sequence. So we're going to use P-I-M-A-M-I, P-I, and then start again, P-I-M-A-M-I, P-I. Remember that 5 times consecutive rule. Keep it steady. Remember, keep an eye on the hand shape, make sure your wrist is still high. Fingers straight, moving up into the hand. No bouncing hand at all. It's not jolting up and down like that. Right, now we then go back to our pattern where we use P-I-M-A-M-I, P-I. Move to the 5th string, 4th, 5th, and back to the 6th. Excellent. Once that's fluent, we can then move on to the next stage. Now this is where we start getting interesting. We can use every combination, because what we're looking at is giving each finger its own identity, so its own flexibility when we're playing. And that comes through lots of different exercises, lots of different methods of playing. So let's try another pattern. We're going to use a pattern now going P-I-M-I-A-I-M-I. Start to feel. Try accenting maybe the annular finger. That's developing its identity because it's focusing your attention on just that finger, which as a result is bringing out the 1st string. Now accent the middle finger. And now keep them all even. Speed it up even. Go through the process, 6th, 5th, 4th, etc. Let's try another pattern, focusing and starting with the middle finger, so P-M-I-M-A-M-I-M. Now focus on the annular finger, so P-A-M-A-I-A-M-A. Then you can do P-A-I-A-M-A-I-A. Etc. We can actually write up every single combination of the right hand patterns, and what I will do is put up a little chart to show on my website of all the different right hand patterns that you can follow. So do have a look and check back on there. I'm going to sign off for the moment with that. That gives you plenty to be working on in the meantime. But the next time we'll have a look at developing the right hand pattern. So from finger picking styles, we can then start using shapes so that we use Latin American shapes. So etc. We can try out all these different right hand patterns, combining chords with arpeggios as well. Thank you for watching, and if you like what you've seen and you want to follow some of my other videos and tutorials, please subscribe to the YouTube site and have a look at my website where I have many backing tracks that you can play along to and improvise along to, and further tutorials, and that's www.keepingguitar.co.uk. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.